I want those people in there to hear us. I want their corporate lobbyists that are willing to show up today in the middle of this pandemic to give AOC and the squad a big high five when they go vote for Pelosi. I want them to hear us too. I want all of them to hear us today. Yesterday was a special day. We had a good chunk of people out here, and then Twitter erupted. They said, "Oh my God, there's only a few dozen people here. What the hell is going on?" I don't know. What is going on? We have a crisis in this country, and you seem to be the only people who care about this, that are willing to stand up, to put your bodies on the line in the middle of this pandemic to fight for people who can't be here. So thank you for being here.
What's going on is more people are here today.
Exactly.
So it's growing.
It's
That's
building.
what's going
It's
on.
building. This next one I'm going to be even louder, okay?
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all. Medicare for all. Medicare for all. Medicare for all. Medicare for all. Medicare for all.
Shut it down! We don't get it! Shut it down! We don't get it! Shut it down! Don't shut the ball! Medicare for all! Don't shut the ball!
Medicare for all.
Don't shut the ball!
Medicare for all.
Don't shut the ball!
Now.
What do we want?
Medicare for all.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Medicare for all.
What do we want?
Thank you. Now.
Ruining lives, that's ruining families. And these people are profiting on the back end. They're getting tens of thousands of dollars in donations from the healthcare industry, from the major companies that are robbing us of innocent lives in the middle of this pandemic. Y'all got healthcare yet?
No.
That's crazy.
Does Congress still have healthcare?
Yes, they do.
You got healthcare yet?
No.
Who does Congress represent?
Us. What a surprise.
How they representing you, but they got healthcare and you don't?
It's a problem. Anybody want to explain it?
Hey guys, how are you going to deny people health care while you enjoy health care with our tax dollars? Now, I am a person who's worked in the health insurance industry, and I've also been a person who's benefited from TRICARE, which is military health care, in case you don't know. The freedom and control that I have over my life, I owe everything to the ability to walk into a doctor's office, not have to argue with the lady making the appointment, and go to the back. I get seen for whatever I want. I walk out, I grab my medicine, and I don't pay anything. It's probably the best privilege that I have. And every day I grab my medicine, I look at my wife, and I literally say, I don't even know what we would do if we couldn't do this.
Because they've got good health care.
Say it again!
They've got government health care and it's paid for.
Because they got what?
Government health care and it's paid
That's
for.
crazy. They got what?
Government health care.
Okay. You got health care yet, though? No. Who here has had a family member die of COVID? You got two in the back, two up front. Has anybody been in the unfortunate circumstance where someone has died because they couldn't get health care because our healthcare system is crippled because of COVID? My grandmother almost lost her foot to diabetes because she couldn't get her appointment in time. When is it, if you're going to tell us that we're the ones in the wrong, that it's not the right time? We have how many co-sponsors? We have over 90 people in the Progressive Caucus. 70% of Fox News viewers. Fox News viewers say they want Medicare for all. We have the leverage, we have the money, we have the organizing, we have the co-sponsors. What we don't have, seemingly, in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, is the courage of their convictions. Supposed convictions. So, with that being said, I'm going to have Jackson come back up. But before we do that, what do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? All right, everybody, so we were just greeted by some very, 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 very kind Capitol Police who also have health care, thanks to their union. Just like these fuckers up here in the Longwood Building.
So strange. Wonderful. Union.
Now, since they have their health care, I want you to tell them what it feels like to not have health care yourself. So what do you want?
Medicare for all.
When do you want it?
Now.
What do you want?
Medicare for all.
When do you want it?
Now.
We don't get it.
Shut it down.
If 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 we don't get it.
Shut it down.
What do we want?
Medicare for all.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Medicare for all.
When do we want it?
Now.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
Don't drop the ball.
On Medicare for all.
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 What do you want?
Medicare for all.
When do you want it?
Now.
What do you want?
Medicare for all.
When do you want it?
Now.
If you don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down.
All right, everybody, let's make our way back to the park. Don't drop the ball.
On Medicare for all.
Don't drop the ball.
On Medicare for all.
Don't drop the ball on Medicare for all. Don't drop the ball on Medicare for all.
Yo, that vote better go right. That's what I'm saying. That vote better go right. I'm coming back tomorrow.
Our checks.
Exactly. We are the only major nation in this country, in the world, that doesn't have health care. That has so much wealth accumulated, but has no health care. So we've hit this turning point where we're seeing divisiveness. We're seeing talks about Jimmy Dore being divisive, you being divisive, not going with our allies, not supporting our allies. But if those people that we elected, that ran on Medicare for all, are not pushing Medicare for all, then why the fuck are they there for? If they're not going to stand up to Nancy Pelosi, who is the gatekeeper, who literally has to bring Medicare for all to a floor vote, even with PAYGO gone, she would still have to bring it to a floor vote. So don't give me the fucking excuses that it's okay now just because we got rid of PAYGO. Don't give me the excuses that we have to wait for the right moment. Because as Nico said, we're in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. Do you remember during the Great Depression, the reason people got out is because of the New Deal? We don't even have anything. We got nothing. And our leaders sold us out with the CARES Act. Every single one of them sold us out. Getting screwed. And they're realizing this. And guess what? You're not alone. More people realize this, but they need leaders to step up like all of you, coming out here and showing them that this is absolutely 100% possible. We need to move from electoralism to direct action. Because a lot of people like to say, what? You're not organizing. This is just a social media thing. Force a vote, blah, blah, blah. This is organizing right here. This is regular people coming together and speaking truth to power for a cause they believe in. Boots on the ground, yelling at politicians, yelling at these elitist, privileged fucks who literally have health care, and they're treating you like you're a nuisance. And if you have a problem with my language, you can get the fuck out of here, because look at the people dying. Look at the violence in here. They don't give a crap because they have it good. And it's not enough to go and smear somebody just because they're a jag-off comedian from their garage and intellectualize it and say, oh, you're not fit to lead this movement. Guess what? I don't care if you're a janitor. I don't care if you don't have a job. You are valued, and it's your job to lead this movement. Every single one of you are leaders, okay? So don't let that classist bullshit from people who've never had to suffer come over here. My mother had breast cancer, and if my mother didn't find a way to get health insurance, she would have not been able to make it because her medicine is $12,000 per syringe.
God
And
damn.
when she gave them their insurance, it was $14.
That's a crime.
It is a crime because some people don't have health insurance and their parents died, their siblings died, and they can't do anything about it. And you know what? We've come to this point where it's not enough to simply just talk about it
All right. Thank you for being here, for speaking with us. That was an inspiring message. Next, I'd like to invite DJ Joe Nice. But first of all, have any of you ever heard of Libby, Montana? One?
I've heard of the second word.
All right. Well, you're about to hear about it. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name's Joe Nice. I've traveled around the world. I've sold a few records, played a few shows, been to 48 countries. And whenever I talk about politics and people talk about the United States, I always mention, yeah, you know what? We have health insurance and we have food deserts. And my friends overseas are like, what are those? Health insurance? What? You have to pay for health insurance? You have food deserts? You have places where people don't have access to fresh fruit, fresh vegetables? Really? That's something? So, again, America, we're a third world country with first world problems.
Right? Yes.
That's where we are right now. And I know, Jackson, thank you for inviting me up to speak a little bit, because there's precedent for Medicare for all. And some of you might have been familiar with Libby, Montana. It's the largest town in a county called Lincoln, Montana. Lincoln County, Montana. And there was a mine, a vermiculite mine, that poisoned all of the residents of that entire county. Every one of them. It happened back in 2009, July 2009. And everybody in that county got Medicare for all. They got Medicare Part B and Medicare Part A. And they also got prescription coverage, which is covered under Medicare Part D. There's precedent for this. And it's basically based upon what's called an emergency declaration. So the EPA said, hey, you know what? There's an emergency. There's an emergency. And because there's an emergency because of the public health threat, you all get Medicare for all. I would like to think that an airborne virus like the coronavirus is a safety, public health. I'd like to take that.
Listen, so my name's David Winston. I'm the co-chair of the Metro DC DSA's Medicare for All Working Group. And yeah, I'm here today with all y'all because our lack of healthcare in this country affects each and every one of us in so many ways, every single day. And, you know, I'm pretty privileged to have only had some sacrifices because of the lack of healthcare. But even that shows how much it affects every single one of us in so many different ways. So a few years ago, I used to travel abroad for work, and I contracted this really rare disease called Q fever. It was very unheard of in this country. Not a lot of people had it. And I didn't know what was happening to me. And I, within a couple days, got 104, 105 fever, and I was hospitalized. And they found out that I had this rare disease, and they said, okay, well, you got this disease when you were abroad. You need to see a specialist who deals in these rare diseases to take care of that. And I said, okay, that's great. At the time, I only had Medicaid. Currently, I don't have any insurance, but thankfully, I lived in California, which has slightly better laws than Virginia as far as healthcare. And so then I set up the appointment with a specialist. And I tried to go see the specialist, and they said, "Oh, we don't cover Medicare or Medicaid. You can't see us." So I was thinking, okay, well, I have this really rare disease that could be extremely infectious. What do I do? And their response was, "Well, you have to find somebody who's in network." And I looked for weeks to find somebody who was in network, and the only person I could find, their next availability was 2 months from then. So I told the person on the phone, I said, in 2 months, either I'll be better or I'll be dead. And their response was, well, that's all we can do.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
So, and you know, like I said, I'm relatively healthy. I can survive without healthcare, but you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And you know, and this hits close to home as well, because a few years ago, my father was contracted with laryngeal cancer, cancer of the larynx. And he had healthcare. And even with that, he had to have surgery, and he had to have his vocal cords removed. And now he has a hole in his neck that he'll have for the rest of his life. And with his insurance and his secondary insurance and all of that, it doesn't cover any of the care required, the long-term care for his vocal cords. He has to get these cassettes that he speaks through out of his throat. They cost $150 a month just for the cassettes. Little piece of plastic, probably costs $2 to make. He has to pay for all these cleaning equipment to clean out his neck every day. He has to pay for a $2,000 electrolarynx so that he can speak through that. None of it was covered by his insurance.
Just a vote on the floor for me right here. Okay? This is about all those workers out there whose health care is tied to their jobs. And now they lost their health care. in the cold.
Oh, hell no.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Let me hear you say force the vote.
Force the vote.
This is more than just a vote on the floor for me right here. This is about all those people out there. They're veterans who are suffering with mental illness, and they can't get the help they need because we don't have Medicare for all. Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Let me hear you say force the vote.
Force the vote.
This is more than just a vote on the floor for me here.
Goddamn right.
This is for all those parents out there who have to ration their child's insulin and make a decision because they can't put food on the table or they can't pay the rent.
Oh, hell no.
And they got to play Russian roulette with their child's lives because we don't have Medicare for all.
What?
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
This is for all those homeless people out there
Yeah.
who are suffering, who had a mental illness or had an illness that they couldn't pay for, and their without Medicare for all, it bankrupted them.
That's my people.
And now they're on the streets, 700,000 of them.
Fuck that.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Are we going to turn our backs on them?
Hell no.
Let me hear you say force the vote.
Force the vote.
And take a vote. We saw Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush go out on CNN. They had the spine to go out on national media in front of millions of people and say that, we're not sure about this. We're not sure about just giving Pelosi our support when we could negotiate our power. We could band together and do something. Now, are they gonna force the vote? Are they gonna withhold their support from Pelosi? Probably not, because no one else is willing to stand up with them. Not AOC, not Mark Pocan, not Ilhan Omar, not Ayanna Pressley, not Rashida Tlaib, not any of them. Not any of them. Not Raul Grijalva, not one of them. Okay? David helped us make hundreds of phone calls to Congress people all across the nation. Right? We had a group of organizers. Brianna Joy Gray, you were there. We had an incredible group making personal phone calls to all of these Congress people. Some of us got even through to them. Some of us got through, and they said they were going to pass on the message to their Congress people that they heard us. Clearly, they don't hear us yet.
Force the vote. Force the vote. Force the vote. Force the vote.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Big round of applause for everyone who came. We'll see you all tomorrow.